on guys, so in today's video what we're actually going to be discussing today is why having a wider grip in the bench press isn't necessarily something you should always pursue to do. So for example, with me, I am a longer limbed athlete. I have pretty long wingspan. My wingspan is about 6'7.5" an inch. So it is pretty long a wingspan. Makes deadlifting very, very advantageous with the way the mechanics work out. But on bench press, it makes me have quite a long range of motion. So I used to constantly try and work on having a wider grip in the bench press. So for example, I would hit a PR with just say this grip, and then I'd be like, well, I cannot then wait to move out my grip wider, because then if I can move my grip out wider, I can reduce the range of motion, therefore think how much I'll be able to bench with that. And I used to constantly try and pursue cycle after cycle after cycle to get my grip wider and wider and wider. And I eventually got to a spot where I had a very, very wide grip. And reflecting back, I have actually brought my grip back in and I'm hitting all-time PRs, and I am moving the most amount of weight I've ever moved before. But the reason that obviously it does make sense to want to have your grip wider is because it will reduce the range of motion. And obviously if a lift has a reduced range of motion, it gives you the potential to move the most amount of weight. But the first thing you need to think about is, in my opinion, your grip width should be directly correlated to the amount of arch you can produce. So the bigger arch you can create, the more you tend to get away with having a wider grip. So if you've got no arch at all, trying to have a super wide grip is not going to work. So that is the first thing. But another thing I'm going to talk about is, and again, this is just my opinion, but I'm not going to try and ask you to refrain from doing it, but to maybe not pursue having a stupidly wide grip, because one thing you can understand is with that wide grip, you do tend to lose a lot of stability on the chest area. And also you do tend to kind of lack maximal pressing potential or maximum pressing power right off of your chest. So with that being said, if you're down in the kind of the weakest position and you are already in the kind of the most mechanically weak position throughout the lift, and you are putting yourself with a grip that has lacking stability and also lacking power, then that doesn't necessarily seem to be a good thing to try to move the most amount of weight. And that is what I was kind of finding, that the wider I got my grip, the less power I had and the less stability I had. Okay, and then when I brought it back in, I started all of a sudden re-hitting all-time PRs, and that is just kind of one thing I want to kind of try and discourage you from, is that a wider grip is not necessarily always a better grip or a stronger grip. Again, you need to find out for yourself, and if you're going to have wider grip, definitely try and improve that arch. But remember, if you are currently at a reasonably narrow grip and you're strong on it, don't just think that you need to go wider because you've got longer limbs to reduce range of motion, to increase your pressing potential, because that's not true. With that wider grip comes less instability, less power off the chest, and not always a stronger pressing position. Again, trial and error, but think about it, it's just food for thought. Wider grip, although in practice it seems good because there's a less range of motion, don't always think about it, because you do give trade-offs and it's not always necessarily the strongest position. And with myself, first hands-on real-world experience, closer grips are definitely kind of strong for me. And if you look at the all-time best raw bencher ever, Eric Spoto, he has a shoulder width grip pretty much, and he is also a longer limbed athlete. He is also about 6 foot tall, I believe. So food for thought, guys. Hope you found today's video informative. Hope you enjoyed today's video, and as always, I'll speak to all of you guys next time.